All right, guys, welcome back. Now, several members of Parliament have missed several meetings for the House of Representatives in 2024, a significant role of a member of Parliament, and have continued to receive substantial salaries regardless. We have with us Danielle Archer, Director at the National Integrity Action, who joins us now to discuss the effectiveness of the measures in place to hold MPs accountable for poor attendance. Good morning.
Good morning.
Happy New Year, my friend.
Happy New Year.
Good to you both. It's nice to be here.
So I'm in the constituency, working for the people, and I want to make sure that they get what they want. I want to see, the bad roads and stuff like that. I don't see why I must go sit down and listen to some people that quarrel with each other.
Some people is you know, because you're supposed to be in there talking to. And if you collect the information, what you're going to do with it?
No, but I'm being very serious. I mean,
no, I'm being serious too. You collect the information, you speak to the persons in the constituency, you hear their needs, you understand their needs. Your job and part of your job is to take those needs, those issues, and take them to Parliament and represent your constituents. It's not just about visiting funerals and having night and giving out monies and saying, oh, this road and that road. There are certain issues, and that's a problem with our democracy. That's a problem with our politic. We think it's okay just to go and be seen, but we also want our representatives to be heard. And so part of the job of the parliamentarian, remember now, you know, that the Parliament is our legislative house. Last year, if the records are correct, I saw, only 3 legislative actions being done, 12 of them being amendments. If I did have eyelash, I'd be flashing them like, you're kidding me? All we've done is amended acts. We can't pass nothing new. We not see nothing new for do to ask for the time to do, or we don't have enough time. And if we don't have enough time and you don't think that's important, small question, what may I pay you for? When you got all that money, remember we were told, you know, that you have to come to Parliament, you have to go to your constituency, you have to invest a lot of time, so you need to be paid like corporate. Not that you're being paid by corporate, you're telling me that I don't need to go, we're only doing half of the work, then I'll give you half of the pay. And if that's where we want to go, never, I have no problem with it. It means that we reform Parliament to have only persons do work in the constituency and then hire a set of people who are now going to be responsible for legislation. Because legislation is how you get a better society. Legislation is how you mold the society in what you want. Legislation is how you get modern, relevant, and applicable laws.
So from what you're saying, Danielle, because it says here that the basic salary is 13.76 million for the basic salary for the calendar year. Are there consequences currently for the persons who are missing these Parliament meetings?
You know you're whistling in the wind, right?
That's what I'm asking. Because, you know, for the average Jamaicans out there, they want to know, well, you know, maybe...
public sector people have consequences. Don't turn up for work and only do half of work. See if they don't put you on interdiction. Or them find a way to make sure, say, you can't work again. Work in the private sector and you only do half of your work, your evaluation won't be so nice, and you're going to either get demoted or you're going to be sent home. We have no such regulation for our parliamentarians. There's no code of conduct that holds them accountable. You always hear me say there's never a code of conduct, a code of conduct. I've been singing it all year. That's what you have. You have a code of conduct so you can evaluate them on. You have a job description so that you can tick it off and say, have they done what they're supposed to do? Because after all, they tell us it's a job that they should be paid for. We have none of that. We've been calling for what we would describe as a recall legislation. In some of the Canadian provinces, they have it as a recall, and there's a recall act. And then in other parts of Europe, or I think it's Peru and Ecuador, I believe, they also have a recall legislation. But recall is really the direct form of democracy. This is where you ask the citizens to say, not just before an election, not immediately after an election, but during the period of time, if the man not performing, either by an entity such as the EOJ or an individual, you make a motion, a petition to recall them, but they're not performing. And we've been asking for that.
This gentleman, Mr. Graham, attended 14 meetings of 93 with a basic salary, it says, of about $25.9 million, $26 million. What should happen? In this
Nothing
case,
can happen now.
No, but in this case, what should be the consequence of that?
Well, the immediate consequence of that is that I'm sure the constituents are going to feel unrepresented. I have hired you to go to Parliament to represent me. And whether it is that you have had a falling out with the hierarchy, whether it is that you're not interested in it anymore, you should have done the right thing to say to the members, I'm not interested in representing you anymore. Elect somebody else.
What if the constituents feel the way? I was tongue-in-cheek, you know that, and I was playing the devil's advocate. But what if they feel that way? Say, me see this man here in my constituency every single day. Me don't want him go up. Me like when him there with me because Ray. What if they think so?
And I would say to them, brother, him only do half I work. Because when he collect information, what he can do? He can't go nowhere. And that is perhaps one of the problems that we're having, why people feel that the system isn't working. Because you can do so much in your constituency. People want to hear you. How do you take your views back to Parliament? How do you get laws passed to help the people in your constituency? But if we were doing that which we were supposed to have been doing in terms of having our constituency meetings and taking the issues from the constituency, when you look at the Carlstone poll, which is quite old by now, but still relevant, it pointed out that many members of the society, the Jamaican society, wanted their parliamentarians to represent them. They wanted to hear what they were saying in the House, taking their issues to the House and passing laws, doing what you need to do to make their lives better. It's not just about paving a road. It's much more than that. Laws are the foundation of our society. If we can't have modern, relevant laws, we are going to be where we are now, simply amending and trying to make it work with old legislation that can't apply today. You can't have one without the other. You say you can't have the chicken or the egg. Which one come first? But you have to have both.
Yep, I agree with you.
Yeah. I want to talk to you about how does the government hold lawmakers accountable for the attendance and the performance in the House of Representatives. Do you think that there will be stricter rules and consequences?
I do.
Yeah?
I do. I think one of the things we need to do, we talk a lot. And, we make it political, almost like I say what I say today, I'm chiding on the JLP or I'm chiding on the PNP. This is all about making Jamaica a better place. If the people who you elect can't account to you, are not accountable to you, and we are not willing to reform the process to make involvement of the citizenry more equal, much louder, then where are we going? Are we preparing ourselves for an authoritarian position where a leader tells us what to do? Is that what we want? We have to start asking. We're in a fantastic year, Neville. We're in election year. We shouldn't be letting the politicians tell us what is on their agenda. We should be taking this opportunity to tell them when they come to ask for the vote. So how are you going to make yourself accountable to me now, brother? You take some money. You have some money, We give you some good money now. You can't tell me say you're underpaid. What are you going to do? You're going to pass a code of conduct so I can see how you behave, and if I don't like it, will you give me the right to recall? Ask our parliamentarians, will you support the right to recall? Will you support giving me that right? One of the first things I want to see is this right to recall when you go back to Parliament. I want to hear you debate it. I want somebody move a motion on it. We talk about constitutional reform, and that's one of the problems I'm having. We do it in phases and we talk about things, but we're not accepting that democracy is a whole. So if we want to reform how we do democracy, and we shouldn't be looking at America or Canada or Ecuador or Peru, we should be making it Jamaican. What do Jamaicans want to include? Jamaicans want to participate. That's why they don't go to the polls. 70% of Jamaicans, according to the Carlstone poll, says we want the right to recall. This apathy that we talk about is not because people don't care. People don't see them vote working because once we put the money in, him stand there for 10 years, and nothing happen. We can't get him out. Let's have that conversation, Neville. Do the constitutional reform, pass the legislation so that we can have more direct democracy. Direct democracy in Jamaica allows all citizens, regardless of where they come from, to have a say.
You're perfectly right. Totally agree. Good to see you.
You see how I'm passionate about this something here?
Oh, good to see you. There was a lady that we carried here that voted for one of the parties, and she said this. On national television. She said that she voted for that person because he gave her some money. She said, if the next person on the other side of the political divide come and give me more money, she said, I'm going to vote for him.
Right.
She said, you know why? Because after you vote them in, you don't see them. So I will take what I can get from them now, which is what she said, right here on national television. that's an indictment on all of us, really.
And that's the question. How do you talk about, and you started our conversation by saying you're working in the constituency. How do I measure the work in the constituency?
Yep.
How do I measure what you're doing in the constituency is good and right? Is it only for the people who voted for you? Or is it for everyone? Because after you get elected, you're not representing just the people who voted for you,
Yep. You're representing the whole area.
Yeah.
Yep. By the way, you have eyelashes here. Just
have eyelashes?
Here you say.
No, man, if you have the ones that like when I flash my eyelash, you can see them. But you can't really see these much. You understand what I mean?
Principal Director of the National Integrity Action, our good friend Danielle.
All right, guys, coming up, we speak with a young innovator who created an AI platform to help you find affordable housing. Stay with us.